I still remember the exact moment my marriage died. It was not during a screaming match or after some dramatic confession. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday morning while I stood in my kitchen making scrambled eggs before work. My wife leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching me like she had rehearsed something in her head 100 times before saying it out loud. Then, in the calmest voice imaginable, she told me she thought we should open our marriage. She said it the same way someone might suggest repainting the living room or trying a new restaurant downtown. Casual, almost cheerful. Meanwhile, my entire chest felt like it had been hollowed out with a drill. At first, I honestly thought she was joking. I laughed and kept cooking. But when I turned around, there was no smile on her face. Just this weird confidence, like she had already convinced herself I would agree. I asked her what the hell she was talking about, and she immediately launched into this polished speech about freedom, personal growth, modern relationships, and how couples were redefining commitment. It sounded less like my wife talking and more like somebody repeating lines from a podcast they barely understood. The woman I married used to say cheating was unforgivable. Suddenly she was trying to package it as emotional evolution. My name is Mason. I was 35 at the time, and I had spent almost my entire adult life working construction. I started young, right after high school, hauling equipment and pouring concrete before slowly climbing my way into project management. My hands were always scraped up, my clothes always smelled like sawdust and metal. I woke up before sunrise and came home exhausted most nights, but I took pride in what I built. Real things, buildings people worked in, homes families lived in. My wife Claire worked in public relations for some marketing company downtown. Her world was polished offices, trendy coffee shops, networking parties, and people who used words like branding identity with deadly seriousness. For most of our marriage, our differences balanced each other out. I liked stability. Claire liked excitement. We had routines that worked. Friday takeout nights, Sunday grocery runs, watching bad movies while she scrolled through her phone making fun of everyone on social media. We were not perfect, but we were solid. At least that was what I thought. Looking back now, I realized the cracks started long before that conversation in the kitchen. A few months earlier, Claire had become attached at the hip to her friend Vanessa. If chaos somehow became a person, it would probably look exactly like Vanessa. She treated relationships like disposable entertainment and gave terrible advice with the confidence of a motivational speaker. Every time she came over, she would talk about how people were trapped by traditional marriage and how women needed to keep their options open. Meanwhile, her own dating history looked like a car crash. Claire started spending more and more time with her. Weekly dinners turned into late nights out drinking. Sometimes she would stumble into bed after midnight smelling like expensive perfume and tequila, acting either overly excited or weirdly irritated for no reason. Then came the girls' trip to Dallas, 3 days away with her friends. Shopping, rooftop bars, spas, the usual stuff her best friend Olivia went to. Olivia was different from the rest of them, calm, grounded, the kind of woman who listened more than she talked. I always liked her because she never acted fake around me. While the others treated me like background furniture, Olivia actually asked questions about my projects and remembered the answers. When Claire came home from Dallas, something about her felt off immediately. She was distant, distracted, constantly smiling at her phone, half listening whenever I talked to her. At night she would roll over with her screen lighting up her face while trying to hide who she was texting. I figured maybe she just needed space after the trip, but deep down my gut already knew something had shifted. So when she pitched the open marriage idea, every alarm bell in my head started screaming. People do not randomly wake up one morning and decide they want to sleep with other people unless somebody is already on their mind. I leaned against the counter and asked her directly if there was someone else. She denied it instantly, too quickly. She said this was about exploration, not replacing me. About trusting each other enough to grow individually while staying connected. Honestly, listening to her talk felt surreal, like watching someone slowly try to convince themselves that betrayal sounded enlightened if they used enough therapy language. I should have shut it down right there. Any sane person probably would have. But instead, I did something that completely caught her off guard. I agreed. The second I said yes, her entire face lit up. I swear she looked happier than she had in months. She wrapped her arms around me, thanking me for being understanding and mature. Meanwhile, inside my head, Every piece was falling into place. I was not agreeing because I wanted an open marriage. I agreed because I wanted the truth. And I had a feeling she was about to hand it to me willingly. Over the next couple weeks, Claire transformed into someone I barely recognized. Suddenly she cared about outfits she never used to wear, new dresses, new makeup, perfume expensive enough to probably require financing. She spent hours texting people with this stupid grin stretched across her face. Whenever I asked what she was up to, she always had some vague answer about meeting friends or networking events. She thought she was being subtle. She was not. The turning point came when my younger sister Emma called me one evening and asked if she could stop by. Emma had always been brutally honest. She was the kind of person who would tell you your haircut looked terrible before even saying hello. When she walked into my house that night, she looked furious. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and got straight to the point. She told me Claire was already cheating on me. Apparently one of Emma's friends knew someone from Claire's social circle, and during the Dallas trip Claire had been openly bragging about meeting a wealthy tech executive named Ryan Mercer. According to the messages Emma showed me, Claire had been talking to this guy long before the trip even happened. One text made my stomach turn cold. Claire had joked that if she played her cards right, she would never have to worry about money again. That was the moment everything inside me changed. Up until then, part of me still hoped maybe Claire was confused or going through some identity crisis. But seeing those messages stripped away every excuse. My wife was not searching for herself. She was shopping for an upgrade. I did not confront her. I did not yell. I simply watched. And the more I watched, the more obvious it became. She started staying out later. She guarded her phone like it contained nuclear launch codes. Sometimes she came home glowing with excitement. Other nights she seemed frustrated and restless. Ryan Mercer was clearly keeping her hooked emotionally, and Claire was acting like a teenager chasing validation from the popular kid at school. Around this time, Olivia started checking in on me more often. At first it was simple texts asking if I was okay. Then she would stop by to pick up things Claire left behind after girls' nights. One afternoon she came over while I was fixing the fence in the backyard. I offered her coffee, and we ended up talking for almost an hour. That conversation stayed with me. Olivia admitted she hated what Claire was doing. She told me she had argued with her during the Dallas trip because Claire was acting reckless and selfish. She also said something that hit harder than she probably realized. She looked me dead in the eyes and told me I deserved better than being treated like a backup plan. Nobody had said that to me before. Most people danced around the situation carefully, but Olivia called it exactly what it was. After that, we started spending more time together naturally. Nothing inappropriate at first. She would come by while I worked on projects around the house. Sometimes she helped me hold tools or hand me materials while we joked around. It felt easy being around her, peaceful. There were no games, no fake conversations, no performance, just honesty. Claire noticed immediately. One night while we were getting ready for bed, she casually mentioned that Olivia seemed to be around a lot lately. I asked why it mattered. She shrugged and claimed it did not, but I could hear the jealousy creeping into her voice. The irony almost made me laugh. This woman wanted the freedom to sleep with a millionaire CEO, yet suddenly felt threatened because her best friend enjoyed talking to me. The funniest part was that Claire's relationship with Ryan was already starting to crack. Apparently rich, successful executives do not usually leave their lives behind for married women looking for excitement. Shocking, I know. Claire started becoming clingier toward me again. Cooking dinners, trying to flirt, calling me babe every 5 minutes like she could rewind time through sheer effort. One evening I came home from work and found candles lit across the dining table. Claire had cooked pasta and poured wine like we were starring in some romantic commercial. During dinner, I casually mentioned that Olivia once told me Claire's mushroom risotto recipe was overrated. Claire froze. The look on her face was priceless. She immediately started asking why Olivia and I were discussing her cooking. I just shrugged and kept eating. From that point on, the paranoia consumed her. She constantly wanted to know where Olivia was, what we talked about, whether I thought she looked attractive. It was honestly pathetic watching her unravel. Meanwhile, my connection with Olivia kept growing stronger. One weekend she came over to help me rebuild part of the back deck. Claire stayed inside pretending to read while silently watching us through the window like a prison guard. Olivia and I spent the afternoon laughing and teasing each other while working. For the first time in months, I genuinely felt relaxed. Later that night, Claire accused me of emotionally pushing her away. I reminded her that she was the one who asked permission to sleep with other people. She snapped back that I only agreed to punish her. Maybe there was some truth to that. But at least I had been honest about it with myself. A few days later, Olivia invited me over for dinner at her apartment. I almost said no because part of me still felt guilty, even after everything, but something told me to go. She made homemade lasagna from scratch. Nothing fancy, just warm, comforting food that smelled incredible. We sat at her kitchen table talking for hours about everything from childhood memories to relationships to the kind of lives we actually wanted. At some point the conversation slowed down, and there was this quiet moment where we both understood something had changed between us. Then Olivia admitted she had always liked me, not in a dramatic way, not obsessively. She simply said that over the years she noticed how dependable I was, how hard I worked, and how I always put Claire first even when she did not deserve it. She said she never acted on those feelings because I was married and she respected boundaries. But hearing her say those words felt like finally breathing fresh air after being trapped underwater. I looked at her and told her I was done pretending my marriage still existed. Then I kissed her. It was not reckless or impulsive. It felt calm, certain, real. The next morning, I woke up realizing I had not felt genuinely happy in a very long time. So I made a decision. That evening when I got home, Claire was sprawled across the couch scrolling through her phone. I sat down across from her and calmly told her that Olivia and I were together now. The silence that followed was incredible. Claire stared at me like I had physically slapped her. Then she started laughing because she genuinely thought I was joking. When she realized I was serious, she completely lost it. She demanded to know how I could betray her with her best friend. The hypocrisy was so ridiculous I almost admired it. I reminded her that she wanted openness, freedom, exploration. Those were her words. I simply explored someone who actually respected me. That was when the truth finally came pouring out. Claire admitted Ryan had stopped talking to her. Apparently he lost interest almost immediately after things became complicated. He never intended to leave his life for her. She had gambled our marriage chasing some fantasy, and when reality hit her in the face, suddenly she wanted stability again. She started crying, begging me to fix things, promising she made a mistake. I listened quietly before telling her something I had been holding inside for weeks. I told her she did not destroy our marriage when she slept with another man. She destroyed it the moment she decided I was only valuable until something shinier appeared. The second she treated me like a backup option, we were already finished. Then I told her to pack her things. Watching her realize I was serious was surreal. She kept waiting for me to soften. Waiting for the version of me that would always forgive her. But that man was gone. In his place was somebody who finally understood his own worth. Claire moved out 2 weeks later. The fallout afterward was ugly. Mutual friends picked sides. Vanessa tried painting me as manipulative because apparently accountability becomes abuse when certain people face consequences, but the truth spread quickly. Most people eventually realized exactly what happened. The funniest part was what happened with Olivia. Everyone assumed our relationship would burn out quickly because of how it started. Instead, it became the healthiest relationship I ever had. There were no mind games, no manipulation, no constant search for bigger, better options. Just honesty, stability, respect. About a year later, Olivia and I bought a small house together outside the city. One evening while we sat on the unfinished back porch watching the sunset, she asked me if I ever regretted any of it. And honestly, I did regret something. I regretted spending so much time believing loyalty meant tolerating disrespect. I regretted thinking hard work alone could keep a relationship alive when the other person stopped valuing it. Most of all, I regretted ignoring my instincts for so long because I wanted to believe the person I loved would never treat me like I was temporary. But losing Claire taught me something important. Some people only love you as long as they think you are beneath them. The second they believe they can do better, they start rewriting the relationship in their head to justify hurting you. And when their fantasy collapses, they come running back expecting the same loyalty they threw away. What they never expect is for you to finally move on. Last I heard, Claire was still bouncing between relationships and trying to rebuild her career after things with Ryan ended badly. I honestly do not hate her anymore. I just see her clearly now. She wanted excitement without consequences, validation without sacrifice, freedom without loss. Life does not work that way. Meanwhile, every morning I wake up beside a woman who chose me without hesitation. A woman who never made me feel like I had to compete for basic respect. And sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet, I think back to that Tuesday morning in the kitchen. Claire thought asking for an open marriage would give her more options. Instead, it gave me a better life.